FBI Director Kash Patel sat down with Fox News and answered a lot of our questions as to exactly why we haven't seen any Epstein files. He also absolutely eviscerated James Comey for his veiled threat against President Trump. And he confirms that the FBI is in the process of moving out of the Hoover building in D.C. These were very pressing questions. These are things that have been promised for a very long time, except for, of course, the James Comey thing. That's just something that kind of popped up. Former FBI director trolling President Trump with a veiled death threat. Who does that? And Kash Patel gets into that, and he talks about how many copycats there were of James Comey who thought it would be okay to follow suit and post a similar death threat. And he talks about all the agents he had to take off the force in order to investigate those types of things. But first of all, Kash Patel confirmed that the FBI has already started moving out of the Hoover building in Washington, D.C. Many of you probably remember he made it a promise that he was going to close the Hoover building and turn it into a museum. Now, I don't think he confirmed the museum part yet, but he has confirmed that the Hoover building will not be the headquarters after they move out and that they are already in the process of moving out. Take a look.
So you want to move out of that building. Where would the new headquarters be?
I can tell you that we are in the process of moving out. We've just worked out the final logistics to begin that process, and we are actually in line with keeping the American taxpayer dollars on mission, shuttering about 6 different offices the FBI has in the D.C. area, and we're moving to our new location within the D.C. area, and that process has already started.
Which is where? Maryland?
We're staying in Washington, D.C., right next to our partners at the Department of Justice, and we're getting out of the Hoover building. I have cargo nets holding up the cement structures of the exterior of the Hoover building because it catches falling cement and prevents it from hitting someone in the head. I'm not making that up. Why no one in the past decided to address that standard or lack of standard and make that building unsafe is beyond me, but we're addressing it.
So, wow, this sounds like a pretty rough building. He's saying that the building itself is unsafe for people actually to work out of. So that's very interesting. Also, this is probably one of my favorite moments from the interview. Kash Patel absolutely eviscerated James Comey over the seashell incident where James Comey says that he was walking along the beach and he just so happened to find a bunch of seashells laying in a pattern that showed a 8647. It spelled out 8647, and he said he just found it that way. The FBI considered that to be a veiled threat. They investigated the matter, but Kash Patel says that there have been many copycat scenarios similar to what James Comey did, and he talks about all of the manpower he had to take off the force in order to investigate these situations. Take a look.
James Comey.
If he wants to come after me, no problem. I've been living rent-free in that guy's head for years, and that's just a bonus. Do you know how many copycats we've had to investigate as a result of that beachside venture from the former director?
Is that right?
Do you know how many agents I've had to take offline from chasing down child sex predators, fentanyl traffickers, terrorists? Because everywhere across this country, people are popping up on social media and think that a threat to the life of the president of the United States is a joke, and they can do it because he did it.
Okay. To be fair, I don't think that you should take agents off of their case if they're working on these child predators or murder cases or whatever to investigate someone that says 8647. To be fair, I don't think that is like really an adequate comparison, but just the fact of the matter that he did, or he's saying that he did, it does kind of show you kind of the ridiculousness of the whole situation. For James Comey even to post a veiled threat, something like this, is unbecoming for a former FBI director to do. What was he trying to accomplish by that? He claims he did not know what 8647 meant. And he also claims that he just came across that shell pattern on the beach. But it almost appears as if he did it in order to promote a book that he had just published, because shortly after that, he was able to go on all these podcasts and these go into these newsrooms and talk about the incident while at the same time promoting his book. So at the very least, it's a very distasteful joke in a distasteful way to promote his book. That's what it really appears to me.
That's what I'm having to deal with every single day. And that's what I'm having to pull my agents and analysts off, because he thought it was funny to go out there and make a political statement.
The 86.
So I agree. I mean, for James Comey to do that is absolutely, I honestly, I can't believe it for a former FBI director to do something like that. He knows what a statement like that or a symbol like that would portray to the current administration. And I think he did that on purpose, knowing that he had pushed the line just enough not to get in trouble or anything, but to create headlines so that he could sell his book. But finally, last but not least, I know a lot of us have been wondering what is going on with the Epstein files. What's happening with that? Because Kash Patel and Dan Bongino sat down and they said they do not believe that Epstein deleted himself, which I think most of us probably believe that he did. I mean, just looking at all of this context surrounding that case, all of the high-profile people involved, the fact that he was in federal custody, the fact that those cameras randomly were not working, and a bunch of other variables that were very odd, I think most of us would come to the conclusion that they are not giving us the entire story on what exactly happened with Epstein. And when they went on that interview and they said that he did not delete himself, they had some very odd, very weird body language. Both Dan Bongino and Kash Patel both had very suspicious body language, at least that was from my perspective, as well as when they were talking about the would-be assassin for Donald Trump. And they said that there was nothing crazy that happened there, even though we have some random kid crawling up onto a metal building and shooting at a would-be president. What happened there? Why don't we have any social media footprint? Who is this kid? How did he get this close to the president? A lot of unanswered questions, and they're acting like there's nothing explosive with the situation, which I don't think any of us agree. But this is what he had to say specifically about Epstein. He says that he is releasing the Epstein files and confirms every file is under review. And he says that he is not going to hide anything from the American public. I will believe it when I see it. But this is what Kash Patel had to say. Take a listen.
There are.
The Epstein thing, you dealt with Maria. You said, as far as you know, he killed himself.
I'm telling you, he killed himself.
The other thing on the internet is the Epstein files. What's the answer to that?
The answer to that is the same as everything else. I'm not going to withhold information from the American public ever, but I'm also not going to rush to get it out there in a format in which they can't rely on it. So on the Epstein matter or any other matters, we are diligently working on that. And it takes time to go through years of investigations, years of political maneuvering, and years of cover-up to get the American people what they deserve. And that's what I'm going to give them.
Okay, so there you go, guys. He doubled down on his assertion that Epstein did, in fact, off himself. What do you guys think about that? What do you guys think about James Comey and what Kash Patel said about James Comey and all the copycats? And what do you think about the Hoover building shutting down? Very interesting stuff. Let me know what you think down below in the comments. Like and subscribe to my channel. I'd really appreciate it. But until then, I will see you on the next one.